Maria and Zach. It's nice to
I'm
see you.
Maria.
I'm Zach.
Nice to see
Thanks for
you,
clarifying.
Zach.
Today's episode, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the growing pains of starting a project with two people who have traumatic brain injuries. And then we are going to read an email from a listener about communicating your brain injury to others. What is the right time? How do you do it so that it doesn't create a stigma? If you're trying to get a new job or starting a new job, can you say anything legally? It's it's definitely a thing where you don't know who to bring it up to because you don't know if you're going to get treated differently. Um, but yeah, how are you? What's new? How
I was just going to say that sounds very, very juicy. And, I know we always mention it at the end, but we're just two people doing this podcast for entertainment. There's no actual professional advice being given.
exactly? Yeah, we're just
Don't sue
going off
us.
of our experiences and what was that outburst?
Don't sue us, please.
Don't sue us. We've
We're
both
just
been through
people.
legal stuff. We're terrible at it. We will run away.
How I'm doing is
That's what we need
good.
to have.
I
Just don't sue us across the
honestly,
like a banner
yeah,
constantly.
don't give people any ideas though. We just,
Luckily, though, the whole system like won't listen to traumatic brain injury survivors, anyways. So it's an uphill battle. So to kind of go back, the last couple weeks we've been working on getting this off the ground, and I think it's been a little bit of an adjustment in a nice way for me because I'm not matching your enthusiasm is how I feel. Um, and I want to be supportive and available, and I am in on this, but I think
great
uh,
news.
that is great news. Uh, I guess I'm just trying to sort of adjust to your expectations and then setting my own expectations for how quickly things move. And when I start to get a little bit like, oh man, I feel like I have a new boss and I need deliverables to my new boss, I will stop myself for a second and go, okay, we both have brain injuries. This is probably some sort of trigger. This is a positive thing. You're my friend. We're trying to work on something together. We've never done anything like this before. This is an opportunity for us to talk about this live with each other in real time and sort of figure things out because I think we're both empathetic to one another, but I feel like maybe our injuries or just our personalities might bump into each other in a nice way of saying it. So, I just wanted to bring it up. I thought it was a healthy way to discuss this and maybe a little more, spicy for our viewers to see how we
Well,
manage through
and I mean,
this.
I saw your suggestion to discuss this, and I was scared, like, oh,
Right.
he's gonna say he's not doing it anymore, and you probably knew that, and you wanted to make me feel that way. So, congrats. No, I mean, I think for me, I definitely of a symptom of my brain injury is like when I have a project or something to get done, I definitely get really laser focused on it. And it's like, I just want to tick the boxes until if it's an ongoing thing, I like understand what I'm doing, or if it's a one off until the project is complete. And I think for this, because it's an ongoing thing, there are a few pieces like getting some traction, so we're getting more callers or more emails with questions from our listeners, or you know, even getting the 5 under our belt so we can get this rolled out, I will think about like how can that happen? How can it happen now? And in my mind, reaching out to you as sort of the co-producer, wanting to like run things past you and make sure, okay, it would be okay if I put a little blurb from our last podcast on the Instagram and change the name, and is that good? And I also think like, I'm hearing you say you are in, which is great because I think I've been questioning a little bit of like, does he really want to do this? Um, and you might be questioning that too. But that's where I think like both our understandings of like, what is my job here? What am I taking on? And then perhaps we just trust that the other person does it, which I will do. I will let go and trust that you're going to do it the way you want to do it. For example, if you were to take on TikTok or something, as
Something I
like,
really, really want to do. Yeah. You keep
um, so
hammering home to me.
and the other thing too is I think a skill for me as an individual is to like write everything out so I can see what I need to do. And I've been kind of doing that, but sending it to you, which may be causing you more stress and making you overwhelmed. So that's important for me to know.
Yeah. No, well, I mean, it's interesting based on kind of what we were talking about last week about kind of the black and white thinking and following rules and not being comfortable in the gray. That what I hear you saying is like, until you know how this process works, there's a frenetic pace to figuring that out for
20
you. And for me,
obsessive.
really?
Some might call it that. Some might
Obsessive?
just call it dedication.
Yes, dedication. I think I the symbolically the form 4:52 a.m. text message is kind of wraps it all all up for me. Um, and
You
I
said
think
you were
for
awake.
what? Because I was awake or you were awake?
No, you said you were awake. You said you were going to the bathroom. No problem.
I think like for me, like I'm just kind of like managing my time, and I think one thing that I've had to do as an accountant really it's like an accounting skill is like prioritize deadlines. And because my perspective on this is exploratory, and there's no one like breathing down our neck saying, hey, you need to get this done this week and set this up and have it be a humming machine in perpetuity by this date. If you were to set a date, I would probably say, I don't think I could do that by that date. Because I think there's also a little bit of, like you said, tunnel vision or focus or however you want to put it, where, outside of this area, the things on my plate are kind of a lot, but not too much, which is why I am saying I can do this. And actually, when we're actually like recording, like right now, is a great time. Um, but I think figuring out a workflow for the two of us where like you can be you and you can be frenetic and laser focused and all that stuff. And then if I don't respond to you until the end of the day, it doesn't mean that I'm out and you've offended me or like I'm offended or
Some trust.
exactly, yeah. Um,
Well, and
so
okay.
please,
I
no.
was just gonna say, like when you said, "Does we don't have a boss breathing down our necks?" Like I internally have that, and I think that's really what has helped me accomplish pretty much anything I've accomplished post brain injury. Is my brain the second I wake up is like, I need to finish this, and I feel like every day I'm on a time like crunch, right? Where like I am good until like a little bit after 2, and I have certain things like I can work with clients and I feel like I can be good, but I have to drink caffeine. I have to do other tools that might impact the rest of my day. Yeah, in order to get through like that 2 p.m. time slot, and be really able to focus. So that breather down the neck is this internal gnawing. And I think I try really hard to say, like, please don't feel like you have to answer this text or this email. Like, I'm just putting it out there because it helps me know that then you can look at it when you want, which I do think you've received that and you trust that. I think then the latter where you're like, but don't think that I'm mad at you or that I'm out if it's been like 4 days since I responded.
Yeah, well, I know. Four
Which is
days.
okay. And I think if that's your rhythm and I get that, then I can let go a bit
Well,
more.
but I think that's the importance of us having this conversation
Yeah.
too, is like, I mean, I think on some level I knew, like, okay, you cash out mid-afternoon. Because I cash out mid-afternoon, but I still have to pretend like I can function.
Right.
Um, and so I think it's just better to know, okay, I got a message from Maria this morning. I just need to respond before 2 or something
Maybe
like that.
even
Or
just
like
like
if I
a thumbs
can't
up.
respond right away,
Yeah.
then there's some bell in my head going off going, I need to respond before 2.
But I also think just like what we were talking about last time, it's like my expectations can also change. Like it's more that you responding or not, it sounds like doesn't indicate you being done doing the podcast or not. So that's again very extreme kind of catastrophic thinking that again, when I'm really excited about something or it's important to me, I can kind of go back to those old ways where it feels like it's black or white. It's definitely going to happen or it's definitely not going to happen. There's no in between. And so I think, you know,
Feels a little like a hostage negotiation.
come
Where it's like,
definitely
if
no
you don't
emotions.
agree to this guy gets it.
And you're this guy?
And I'm this guy.
Oh. All right. Well, I can work on that. I also think like things like just saying Mondays at 8 or Thursdays at 9, that those are the days we're going to either do our recording or maybe we set a time that we do an actual meeting and so I keep a sheet of like bullet points of all the thoughts I'm having. So instead of getting it text throughout the week, at our Monday 8 a.m. meeting, we talk it through and then Thursday we always record. And those are just our two set things. And there's no like questioning it, but there's also a clear boundary for me that like those things get discussed at the meeting versus trickle them through all times, all hours, all days.
Yeah. I think that could work. I guess, one of the reasons I wanted to talk about this like on camera was because I think we're like trying to figure this stuff out. It is a reflection of like our brain injuries in this specific through this like specific lens. Um, I think there's a little bit of a fear of like, oh man, are we gonna run out of things to talk about? So maybe we just need to like have all our conversations recorded with
Scares you. That
some
doesn't scare
structure.
me.
It doesn't scare you that we'll
No,
run out.
yeah, I think now that I've lived 19 years with a brain injury, I'm like, well, there's literally new things every day. How to interact with parents when you have other mothers, other fathers, other people. There's just so many little things that pop up every day that I'm like, oh my gosh, what
Yeah.
am I supposed to do?
But there were a bunch of things that popped up from this sort of
Yeah.
scenario where, you did last week, you're like, you're out, aren't you? And I could tell like you made a joke about it, but I could tell you had like real fear that I was going to be like, thanks, but no thanks, Maria. And, I wrote in a message about, feeling like I let you down, or I'm feeling like I'm letting myself down, or you're making me feel like I'm letting you
So
down.
that was
And
the thing that you're making me feel. That
yeah.
really makes me go, I'm like, okay.
And I'm like, well, no, that's not really, that's not fair to you because I'm having a reaction. But I just thought it was an interesting something that I was able to kind of like unpack in my head of these things are potentially tools for just interacting
Yeah.
with your friends and family when there's a lack of clarity or like emotions come up. And I've been in enough therapy to be like, well, if I'm having a strong emotion about something, what does that
Yeah.
mean?
Well, and I think for me too, hearing that last thing that really stuck out to me of like I feel like you feel like I'm letting you down, or and that, whatever that last sentence you said was. And I think there have been times in my life where I have heard something like that and been like, oh my gosh, I'm doing everything wrong. I'm the worst. Now this got messed up, whatever. And I was so tired yesterday when I saw that, actually, because I didn't have access to computer or anything like that over the weekend. And I think you'd written it on Friday. And so last night I was so tired. And I think usually I would have seen that and become like, oh my gosh, this person's mad at me, this person, and so, and I really just like, okay, I'm going to deal with that tomorrow. I'm going to let that go. I'm going to compartmentalize whatever that is from Zach. That's not my feelings. Those are his. Don't really know what this means. And that's been very difficult for me in my
Yeah.
post injury, is to be able to stop that and just be like, this cannot be part of my world right now. I can't get into trying to discover why he's feeling this way or if he's over the podcast.
And that took 20 years. You know,
Yeah. That
it's
took 20.
still a daily battle. Like,
Yeah.
okay, this thing, and I didn't like, I just wrote out like kind of what I was thinking. It was not edited, and it was sort of me putting it down on paper was my own version of, okay, I want to deal with this. It's important. I need to get this down right here, and then we're going to talk about it in a couple days
Yeah.
and record it for history.
Pray so it doesn't repeat
And
itself,
I
which
just
goes
feel like
back.
we've been friends long enough where like I could be or you could be like, I'm mad at you right now. Let's talk about it, and then it'll.
Totally. But I mean, I think that's also like we've been friends forever, or, since at least I had my brain injury, 20 years. And at the same time, like when we were our closest, it was like ratting around New York, bumping into each other, going to weird parties in LA, like these times where we were really physically together. And now being in Washington and you're in Los Angeles, and like I see you when you guys are in town, but like it's definitely, perhaps I'm also unsure of like how strong is our friendship, and also knowing you have like a wife. I really haven't known you forever being a married guy. You have two older like stepchildren. You have real job where you work 50 hours a week. Like those are huge things. And so there's also a part of me that's like, this isn't just Zach that is Zach and himself, or Zach and his dog. Like this is Zach with a whole huge world that I don't really know that well.
Yeah. I mean, and I appreciate you saying that because I think one of my initial feelings when you were kind of what, when I was feeling like you were like, was a little bit of, oh my gosh, I have all these responsibilities and I am feeling like I should want to drop everything to do this thing. And I think if we were like in our 20s, I probably would have. But
Yeah, and maybe that's it too, that I'm thinking of you as that guy sometimes. So I'm
yeah,
adjusting to this.
yeah, I'm a agent of the state. I don't know if that's even true.
You're working for the man, man.
I'm working for the man. Yeah. I think one of the most disappointing things about becoming a CPA is that you have to work with like the Department of Consumer Affairs, which is where the Board of Accountancy is under the umbrella of, which all of those things are so boring. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and you're just like, oh, I'm just a watchdog, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Rough, rough.
I think a lot of people feel that way. You work so hard for this thing, and then it's a lot harder. It's a lot, you know, boringer for you.
Yeah.
But again, this can be the little stripe of pink.
Yeah, I think so. Hopefully, I think we could. I mean, we've talked about this for 20 minutes. Do
Yeah,
we want,
let's maybe bring our
is
question.
there any like wrap up points or are we good?
I mean, I think for me, the wrap up would be, we need to settle on the times that are kind of boundaried to talk about this, and then perhaps texting is like more friendship stuff, right? And so we have our meetings to talk about these things and the to-dos and what have you, but we're not really using texting to communicate about work stuff.
Okay.
Feels like a good rule. And then I think getting the routine of what those record and have our conversation days are. And then I guess if I'm hearing you correctly, you're wanting me to trust that you're really in this.
Yes, that is true.
Sounds like you're not questioning that.
I'm not questioning that. I mean, I'm kind of wondering if your kids are like duct taped to the wall right now, and
We'll talk about that another time, Zachary.
your
All right.
clients think you're in Hawaii, or
And next.
and your
Next.
husband's also duct taped
Tattoo,
underneath the
tattoo.
children.
Tattoo, tattoo. What were you saying about that listener email?
Yeah, the listener email, which I think you have access to, right? So you're going to read it today.
Sure.
Um, my wife is on a plane right now, and apparently it got diverted because of a medical emergency on the
A plane
plane.
to where?
She was coming home from Washington.
Oh, you didn't come this time. Dang, could have seen you.
I will probably come next month, though, end of July. Get
We'll
ready for it.
record live
We'll
in
record
person.
55 episodes back
Okay,
to
our
back.
question. Um, so this is a listener email. I newly
Do you have a
had
listener's name?
um it's a she,
It's a
and
she.
I believe Tony. Is that a girl name or a boy name?
Sure, yeah. Tony's and
Tony.
everything name.
This is Tony. I newly had a traumatic brain injury, and I'm unsure of what to say when I make a mistake or need an accommodation. This is with new people and old friends. What and when is the right time and way to explain brain injury?
It's a good question, Tony. Thank you for sending in an email and asking that brave question. It's not an easy thing to ask
It
anyone,
isn't
right?
easy to ask, and I think so many people struggle with this. And I'm going to focus today on the part where you said, Tony, that this is a new brain injury. And so sometimes there's an element of like people saying, this is the new normal. And like that can feel like,
Minimizing.
yeah, because I think it's just such a loss, especially in the beginning. And you're showing up differently in interactions, as you stated, with both new and old people, like people you've known and people you haven't known. Um, and so I think it's good to recognize, like, yeah, when is it appropriate to share with people that you had a brain injury or what about the brain injury you want them to know? Um, so some people that I've worked with will say things like, I have brain damage, because that is in some ways like the feels like the world understands it better, or I have a recent disability or I have a disability. Um, Perhaps when you make a mistake, but then starting to,
Yeah, what was that?
I don't know. Um,
But you heard it too.
yeah,
Okay. Now it's
uh,
fine.
it's fine. Yeah. So
Brain damage, you were saying.
yeah, just that like some people don't understand what a traumatic brain injury is. You could obviously say traumatic brain injury or brain injury, but I think more importantly, figuring out like a line or two that makes sense for you when you're talking to family or friends and having certain symptoms, like maybe being unable to stop crying and feeling like you really need space, and you might just say to your family members or your older friends like, I'm having a really hard time in this space. I'm feeling overwhelmed. I need to go take a break. And you can add that it's from your brain injury. For other people that are newer, you might make a decision like, I'm going to wait a month of knowing this person before I disclose that I have a brain injury. And when you are sharing with them, you might keep it more simple, where you're just saying, I have a brain injury, I might need some accommodations. What are your thoughts, Zach?
Um, I mean, I sort of got a little hung up on just the difficulty of asking for help, or just kind of being vulnerable by disclosing information that is hard to talk about. Um, hard to hear also. You know, I think about being like in my 20s and if somebody passed and going to a funeral and like being scared to say like my condolences, I'm so sorry for your loss or something like that, and you're like it's this situation, which obviously this isn't the same, but it's a situation of discomfort in a kind of environment that we're all kind of supposed to act as if, you know, we're very much a fake it till you make it world.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you are vulnerable or you reveal some adversity that's occurred, I just it can be met with such a myriad of responses that it incites a lot of fear toward even saying anything. So you just keep it to yourself.
I think there's also an element where sometimes brain injury can really impact your sort of filtering skill of like how much do I share? And it can be very tempting to share a lot of what you're dealing with and a lot of how you got your brain injury. And those things are so important, but they are also, I think, kind of sacred. They're your own experience and should be perhaps shared with people who really deserve to know your story versus people that maybe aren't as willing to truly hear it and give it that story, your story of how your life really changed and your brain injury happened. That might be something that they're not really able to handle in the way that feels good to you. And you might find yourself saying things like, I told them, about my brain injury. I told them what happened and everything, and still they're treating me the same way. And so sometimes it's better to have shared something a little smaller and then be ready to repeat that same thing that you shared. I have a brain injury, I get overwhelmed easily.
Right, yeah. Like you kind of need to have like a one-liner for certain people. And it's all and super hard and circumstantial. I can remember just being like on a work thing and people were piling into my car and the middle seat belt in the back seat of my car was hard to reach, and the person sitting there was like, "Oh, I'm just not gonna wear it," and
Yeah.
the seat belt ding went off, and that's like one of my lingering symptoms,
Hmm.
where it
The
feels like I'm
sound.
on a merry, yeah, I'm like a beep like that feels makes me feel like I'm on a merry-go-round and I'm disoriented, and it's like, well, I'm not gonna drive into a tree because this person doesn't want to put their seatbelt on. So
Right.
I'm gonna say, please put your seatbelt on. I have a brain injury. That's one of my symptoms.
Yeah.
And I feel like an asshole saying it, but it's,
Why?
I don't know. That's a good question. I feel like that's something to dive into, honestly. Is like,
Yeah.
I felt like an asshole saying like, because I wanted to say put your seatbelt on, but
Mm.
instead it was put it on, please. I
Which
have a
that
brain
to me is a
injury.
win that you didn't scream at
Oh,
them.
totally, yeah. But you know, I do think there's a little bit of apologizing for this condition.
Or apologizing for how you are now versus how
Right.
you
Yeah,
were
yeah,
before, right? And
exactly.
that's sort of that internal work that is like, how do I treat myself like I would my friend that has a brain injury?
Yeah, which I mean that speaks to a bigger conversation of just how we speak to ourselves in general and things we say to ourselves that we would never say to another person because they're
Totally.
just so
I think,
harsh or cold or to the bone.
yeah. And I think that's true for a lot of people. Most people, the negative bias where we're for our survival, I think we were talking about this last week too, like we're looking for bad things so that we can avoid bad stuff and stay alive. That's really based in our caveman days. And I think when you have a brain injury, that's heightened. Like everything can look bad, everything can look scary. And knowing that negative tape of like, am I messing up, or I did that wrong, or why am I a jerk? The voice I just said that to that guy, or why am I not cool like I used to, where the beeping wouldn't bother me? It's like, how do you soften to yourself and maybe even feel like the new Zach or the TBI Zach, he needs this kindness. Can you give it to him?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, circling back to Tony's email, I'm kind of thinking, how do we provide an answer to her questions about when and how? And yeah, I think it's a little bit like you said of knowing who to talk to about it, having a support system of people who will listen to you. But I mean, that's taking for granted that you have a support system of people that are going to listen to you. Like,
Yeah.
um, I,
I think part of it is knowing like getting your statement of what you need them to know down into a short kind of compact thing. I have a brain injury, I get overwhelmed easily, or I have a brain injury, I can't have repetitive sounds around me. Whatever it might be, and sharing that. And then if that person isn't taking that into consideration, then repeating that, you know, and that would be with someone that's more of an acquaintance or a new person. And I think with older people or people that you have a relationship with and you want them to know your story, you know, that's something that I think you can lead with what feels right for you timing wise. With the new people, you might want to get to know them better for a month or two before you're sharing things with them, and then just be mindful of how much you're sharing. Oftentimes with brain injury, especially when talking about sensitive things to new people, less can be more.
right. Yeah. That's a good point. God, even with, I mean, I'm just thinking about my own interactions with family post brain injury, and I wouldn't say I come from like the warmest, most compassionate people, thoughtful either. So, I mean, they're kind of just, yeah, I guess I don't even really, they're not, you know, to speak to Tony, like your family may be the opposite of a support system.
And then I would say focus on what you need. Dad, because
What
of
if
my
you don't
brain
know?
injury, I need you to text me if you're running late.
Yeah.
Mom, because of my brain injury, I need you to wear headphones when you listen to your music. Right?
Because of my brain injury, I need you to chew with your mouth closed.
There you go. Yeah, it's okay. Say it.
Oh man, it would just
Can of worms open.
yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Well, did we cover everything for Tony? Like, do
I
we?
think so. I think, and I want to really encourage people. Sometimes we might not be saying this in the most perfect linear manner, and hopefully we'll get better over time, but feel free to re-listen and pick out the parts that are useful for you and listen to it over again, so that it does make sense. Because I'm hearing Zach share really useful information from real life, and where some of these things can be applicable, and hopefully between that and some of my ideas and your ideas of course too, Zach, you know, they can be put into practice. And yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're excited to be sharing these conversations with you. We're going to be covering a new topic related to TBIs each week, going over listener submitted calls and emails from real life situations. We'll be releasing episodes every Tuesday, so please subscribe to make sure you don't miss any of these fun and important conversations. We are not going to be sued ever
Correct.
because this content in this podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only, not professional advice.
That's correct.
We, as the hosts, Maria and Zach, are not liable for how listeners use this information. If you need more support, please contact a therapist or your medical provider. If you're having suicidal thoughts, please text 988 for support. Thank you so much, Maria, for your time,
Thank you, Zach.
providing a safe space to have these conversations.
Awesome. Same to you. All right.
Have a lovely day.
Talk to you on the flippity floppity.
Okay.